struggle. Good evening. Can everybody hear me? My mic stand thing broke seconds before I came on air. I swear, all this blaspheming, sometimes, sometimes y'all, all this blaspheming and non-belief, sometimes I have my doubts. I'm steadfast in my secularism. I'm steadfast in my skepticism, but sometimes I'm skeptic of my skepticism. Because people say there's no such thing as luck, blessings or curses, but like literally seconds before I went on air, this little thing right here, right, y'all, that goes on this thing, like this thing is supposed to hold up this thing, and look at that, it won't. What do you want from me? So like I said, so I'm glad y'all can hear me, but things, this and it's broken. Like I can't even repair it. Lord, the thing's all flimsy. Like just before I went on air, if it broke, I could have come up with a solution. Yesterday, I was in here messing with the thing. So I don't know, man. Sometimes I'm skeptical about my skepticism. That's all I'm saying. Sometimes I don't believe in my disbelief. But anyway, we're going to power through. Y'all can forgive. I forgot. I just sent Skip the link. Now, I sent Skip. Anyway, if Skip is... Oh, here he is. I was about to talk about Brother Like a Dog, but he showed up, so I'm going to be respectful. My fault, man. I made you like an admin.
Okay.
And... But I forgot to send you the link and all that.
Where you at, bro?
I'm at home. I painted my office and rearranged my office.
What's up with that glass behind you, though?
What glass? Ain't no glass behind me.
Looking at it. That's like a 7300.
Oh, the cameras?
Yeah.
I'm holding on to these for somebody. I don't know how to use this. This is
put them in the box. I'm gonna show you how to use them.
Huh?
Who's stuff?
Chauncey. Co-conspirator.
Oh.
Yeah, he became a passport bro. He's over there jet setting and left me these cameras. We was using this to go like do public events and stuff. And then one day he was like, listen, I talked to Stevie and I got a job. And so he went overseas. And he's over there living a good life and left me all alone on the south side of Chicago.
Well, look, what we gonna do is we gonna talk about this offline, but I want to see the numbers on them two white ones at the back.
Oh, these big and...
Yeah, I need that for little kid soccer, man. Anyhow, how you feel, brother? I miss you.
I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm blessed and highly favored.
Hey, boy, let me tell you.
And I'm styling on y'all fools. Yo, you see my cap? I got this cap for my birthday.
Okay.
Shout out. Oh, let me show you. I'm over here just flossing. Got my, Prospect Ave, KCMO. I'm KC.
Okay.
Shout out to Dun Dilla. Shout out to my day ones. Rip the Crip. Jeff Dog. All my Kansas City people. My wife, she got on the phone to Kansas City and was like, Diallo's birthday's coming. And so the Popper, Dun Dilla, Walt Lee, she sent some stuff for my birthday. So I'm all Prospect down. I'm claiming my set.
Okay, I don't know what that means, but okay.
I'm an OG. I put in work. I raked some leaves in my hood. I painted some fences. I did a voter registration drive in my hood. So I work in my hood.
Hey, that's what's up, bro.
I was one of the first block brothers in my projects. So my name ring out in the KC streets.
Okay.
So
I'm with it, bro.
Yeah, so I get love. I gave love and I get love from KC. Like I said, I put in that work. I don't know how you define work.
Though. I saw you in KC.
Yeah,
I know you be out there.
Oh, you met my homie Rip. Yeah, you met Rip. I introduced you to Rip. Yeah. And my man Daniel. Ethiopian,
Yep.
came in there and embarrassed me in front of my people.
Yeah, man. You know, can't nobody say you can't go
Ethiopian
back to
food
KC
with a knife and fork.
Huh?
I said you embarrassed me in Kansas City when you went to my man's restaurant and ate Ethiopian food with a knife and fork.
How was I
It
supposed
don't
to
get
eat?
more mis.
I don't
don't
like
get
the taste. I don't like the taste of injera.
Then scoop it into your hands. You never drink like from a water hose.
Yeah, we just put the whole thing up there and drink.
You didn't see Daniel standing in the back of the restaurant judging us. And I thought y'all get it wrong. You know, he's like a Coptic Christian, like he's descendant of the first African people to ever
I know.
be Christianized on the
Well,
planet
he's
Earth.
Ethiopian. That's what he is.
Yeah. I've been trying to get him to wake up and see the light too. Like abandon your culture and history and come over here with me.
Listen, bro. Before we get into the show tonight, I got a hard stop. I gotta go out to. I'm going out to dinner for this thing I'm doing. But this is what I want to talk about. In love, do you see a pattern, bro?
A pattern in love?
No, a pattern when you be interacting with folks. Like you see how like they be all trying to have these interventions with you.
I ain't never had an intervention. I've been sober my whole life.
Bro.
I've had interventions with people trying to convince me to get high. I've had like reverse interventions.
Bro, those folks on that Earn Your Liberation when you was talking to that woman. Oh boy.
Trying to liberate my sister.
Oh boy. Like, I have no idea why you gotta do better, bro.
I'm trying. You saw how hard I went in the paint.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you gotta do better with your grace.
Do more to oppose. Yeah, I try. I try to blaspheme if I can. Trying to provoke one of these omnipotent beings to step to me. But all they ever do is send their wayward followers. I'm trying to de-Christianize, de-Islamify, and decultify my community. I am trying. I'm doing the best. It's just me.
Bro, all of your comrades look at these antics and just say to you, bro, relax. It's not building community, bro.
What's not building community? Highlighting the atrocities against my people, highlighting the hyper exploitation of alien religions and absurdist belief systems on my people. I'm trying my best, man. I don't know.
Your strategy is ineffective. It's like this. You didn't spank your children, did you?
Huh?
Did you spank your children?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I think I've done some pinching.
Okay.
I don't know. Let's get Sekou in here.
All right, but like
Sekou went and told his mother on me just the other day. I thought we was past that.
What'd you do?
I said some words. I don't even remember what I said. I thought I said something, and he was like, Mom, I don't think Dad's respecting me or speaking to me in a respectful manner.
That's all I'm saying, bro.
And then I had to sit down, but she took my side. When I sat down, in which I shouldn't have had to done, being the alpha that I am. I shouldn't have had to explain my side. But she was like, you talking to Sekou, you talking down to Sekou? And I said, no, I was not. I can't remember the details, but no, this is my motivation. This is why I raised my voice. This is why I had some harsh words. And then she heard me out and then heard his side. And she was like, your dad was right. So
all I'm saying, bro, is sometimes, in some situations, you can just turn the other cheek. You ain't got to do it all the time, because I don't do it all the time. But in a lot of instances, it's like with we talked about this, like with with like as you've learned things, and you were kind of dismissive of it at the point. I think you'll hear better now. Like it just kind of comes a point when in your development, you see the argument, you know how the argument is gonna go, and instead of engaging in it, excuse me, you just let folks have they say. It ain't that hard. It ain't that
But
hard.
I let people have their say. I don't let them people have. But is it your say? When you say their say, if somebody is regurgitating alien doctrine, if somebody is regurgitating colonial propaganda, it's not their say. They are acting as ambassadors or conduits of alien teachings throughout my community. So if I engage someone who's having their say from their heart and their mind, then have at it. I'll respect it. But if you are indoctrinating and spreading something that has plagued my community for centuries, that ain't your say. And a lot of times African people, I don't think we know when we speaking from and for ourselves or speaking for somebody else. Who you representing? What ideology, what value system, what culture, what history are you speaking from and speaking to? So I can't passively sit by and let somebody spread indoctrination of my people. Like how is that responsible?
Right. You see how you doing all that right now, and I'm just saying right.
Yes.
It's because you not doing it with me, but this is how it starts with you with other folks, and I'm just showing you how you can just be like, oh, okay, and you ain't gotta call them names, you ain't gotta engage in it, but you can just let it go. But I'm gonna tell you one thing before we get into the show. This is the last thing I'm gonna tell you. You know you got a writer's credit in this new thing I'm working on.
What new thing?
I got a little thing I'm working on.
I appreciate it.
You got a writer's
black
credit.
Folks love credit.
Yeah, look, boy,
look, credit.
Hey, look,
we live off credit.
Hey, look, then what I say.
I can't wait.
I say, these murder cults living off the profit of sold caskets.
And you saying I'm the harsh one?
No, like I got their language from you, like the murder cult.
I got it from John Henry Clark.
Oh, either way, it worked.
It sounds beautiful. It's right.
You
But let me tell you something I said. Let me tell you, because this is painful to me. Y'all think I'm out here hurting people when I'm out the one that's being hurt. I'm the one that should be getting sympathy. You know, and there ain't no way, even if I adhered to some garbage, the last thing I would do is try to infect my community with garbage. You know, if I got to carry garbage myself, so be it. But this is what I said. I said, imagine having to debate about how respectful you should be towards religions that have committed unceasing atrocities against your race. It's a painful and I'm in a position.
Right.
And I had asked the question. I said, do you think there's anybody of Arab lineage, of Persian lineage, of European lineage sitting there arguing and debating and banging about Ifa, about the Kemetic tree of life cultivation system, about Dogon astrology, about their adherence to some alien belief in spiritual system? Because your religion is basically how you interpret and engage reality, unless you are fake.
Yeah. Right.
So if you're interpreting and engaging reality based on a system that has provoked unyielding atrocities against my race, and I'm supposed to choose my words?
Right. Yep, you are.
When my ancestors had their tongues cut out for failing to profess, and I can't name call and crack a joke, and you putting me up there with the people who severed limbs and tortured and murdered our people because I made a joke or called somebody a name or mocked somebody?
Right, but what I'm saying is it's not effective at building community, brother. And if you don't want to be in community with them folks, then that's fine too, right? But all of the good things that you say are easily dismissed because of this one tactic is the word that I'm being given right now, but I think that needs an adjective in front of it, right? Like it's just not. It hasn't been effective yet, right? And you just committed to it for whatever reason you're committed to it, and I think you're better than that. That's it. Because again, I'm not telling you in no way. I pray for you. I pray for your family. And you can think that it means no good, but that's something that's very important for me, right? I don't think you dismiss it because you love and you care about me, right? All I'm saying is sometimes when you go so hard, you might not be wrong, but is it worth winning? Like for what you lose, is it worth winning? Like just think about that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the day that there's no African being enslaved through an African who's enslaved, colonized, mutilated, oppressed, where Allah and Islam is not the justification or the source of that, I will show proper respect. I have to say, you say I'm not building community, but I don't think community is a neutral term. There are several types of communities, and communities have several characteristics and have different out people within those communities. You have exploitative communities, you have oppressive communities, you have inhumane communities, you have mutually supportive communities, you have African communities, you have anti-African communities. So I do know that I am detrimental. My approach, my outlook can be subversive to some communities, but I say that those communities are worth sacrificing. Those bonds are worth sacrificing. And my tactic is sincerity and accuracy. That's the thing I try to, when I look back on, well, I said some things I didn't have to say, or I took it too far. The thing I look for is, was I accurate in what I said? And am I being sincere? Those are the only tactics I use, especially engaging an indoctrinated African. Now, when it comes to other folks outside our communities, because there's only two types of Christian and Muslims. There are conquered and the conquered and the conquerees. So when I'm speaking to one of the conquerors, one of the colonizers, one of the indoctrinators, my approach is different. And I'm very often be like, I ain't wasting time with you. I just blocked some white Muslim. Now I send you those screenshots, talking greasy as hell. Some white Muslim came and told me that Islam's brought discipline and civilization to Africa. So I didn't argue back and forth with him. I blocked him immediately. Well, I called him a racist, and I left it up long enough to call that dude a racist, and then I blocked him. So no, I don't. Not in all these discussions and topics do I jump in with both feet. I'm very quick to dismiss somebody, but if it's like I said, if I love you, if I care about you, or if I think you have a potential to have impact on my people, I'm going to engage with you. And if African people can take beheadings, enslavement, dehumanization, the burning of our holy spaces, if we can endure that and still accept your theology, then you can take my mockery.
If you think it's worth it, bro.
But listen, I'm willing to employ a new tactic. If I'm willing to travel a different road to get to the same location. Yeah. But this is what I've been pretty much arrived at. Because
what's interesting about it is in the way that you do those things. I've said, in conversations with other folk when I talk about you, one of the things that's scary for me is ultimately I think there are instances where people think, where people think you and I are doing similar things. Like I have a similar I have elicited a similar response to folks that I see you getting, because I've acted in a way that they interpret as the way that I interpret you acting, right? And for me, I just don't think the sacrifice is worth the reward, you know? And I think, and I really believe this. I really do believe that you believe you're doing the right thing. But I just want you to trust folk in community that love and value you and respect you, that are telling you you be out of control sometimes. And some of it I get, you know what I'm saying? Like some of it I get. Like I do think that there are times when people are ridiculous. I'm in a situation right now where I think somebody's being ridiculous, right? And the advisement that I was given was to do one thing. I was like, I'm not doing that, right? But I haven't done anything in my mind to make it worse, right? And I think sometimes you can ask questions that are genuine questions that challenge beliefs. And I think there are other times where you just legit get in the name calling and playing the dozens when you're smarter than that, when you're better than that, when you're far more articulate than that, you're far more learned than that. And you just kind of, you beat up on folk, and it's not really whatever. But let's get into the show, man. We'll talk some more.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But
Yeah.
can I say one more thing, and
Go
then
ahead.
we'll get into the show? When the Arab hordes were invading our ancestral land, when they were taking Egypt, the land of Kemet, when they were invading our countries, taking our territories, slaughtering our people wholesale, and began what was known as the Islamic or Arab slave trade, they debated with each other whether or not it is appropriate to convert the savages, convert the subhumans, to convert them to Islam, or just to reduce them to chattel. When the Europeans came into Africa and did the same thing on the heels of the Arabs, due to the disruption, if we are to follow Chancellor Williams' scholarship, they also debated amongst themselves whether they should Christianize Africans or leave us in our savage state, whether or not Africans had a soul or could enter the afterlife. They had the same debates as to whether or not they could, and there were some Europeans and some Arabs, I'm sure, that were like, listen, these Africans have gods, traditions, and beliefs, and holy people, and ancestral traditions that are older than our gods, that are much older than our gods. And you're never going to be able to Islamicize those Africans. You're never going to be able to Christianize the Africans. And there were Arab colonizers and European colonizers who looked those naysayers in the face and said, I do believe I can convert the savage. I do believe I could give the wretched man, the wretched savage, salvation. So I feel the same way when I say I will not rest, and it will be my mission in life, and anybody who comes across my teachings after I'm gone, to make sure there's not an African on the face of the earth that's worshiping or bowing to a colonizer or colonial god. And it's that same discussion. The people, there was a time when we had culture, language, theology, gods, worship, and practices, and there wasn't one African Muslim and one African Christian on the face of this earth. And I say, well, we can get back to that. I could be wrong. I could be like those colonizers who said you're never going to get those Africans to turn away from their polytheism, to turn away from worshiping their ancestors, to clothe and cover their wretched nakedness, have their women cover up and wear. You're never going to get the African woman who walks with her breast out to don these. You're never going to happen. And they were wrong. Because those who believe that you could have half the goddamn continent being Islamic and the other half of the continent being Christian, and the people who worship as our ancestors did being pushed to the margins on their own continent, in their own communities, tribes, and culture. So I think that it is a noble and worthy and necessary mission to purge physical colonizers from our physical land and remove spiritual, religious, cultural, ideological colonizers from our intellect and our mind, our value system, our worldview, and our philosophies. And I feel so alone in this mission a lot of times, because I know a lot of people want what's best for Africans, and it ain't no such thing as halfway freedom. So yeah, it gets ugly, but I can promise you this: I will never mutilate. I will never call for violence. I will never burn like they burned our libraries, Timbuktu. I will never burn their spaces. I will never call for violence against those people. I will never act in the way they acted. I will never behave in my mission to liberate my people or to de-Christianize or de-Islamicize my people the way they acted in Christianizing and Islamifying my people. I will remain human. I will remain African in my mission. And I don't understand these people who come at me about saying that this belief system is absurdist and anti-African, and they're so calm with Christians still having over half our continent, Christian pastors, evangelicalism feeding into fascism, Islamic Africans right now being tortured, mutilated, and murdered all throughout North Africa, in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, has an active slave trade of African bodies. Kuwait. While Africans went over to liberate Kuwait from Saddam Hussein, and they got to Kuwait and saw enslaved Africans. And people always want to, well, what about Senegal? Oh, what about Senegal? They didn't colonize Senegal. Senegal is Islamic. And there are African slaves with Arab masters on the soil of Senegal right now. Go read Silent Samuel Cotton. So, yeah, and I'm not even counting the billions of dollars. I mean, too many of my people have died praying to Allah and Jesus for me to, I just can't. That just gets to me. It being a victim of that indoctrination myself, believing that Jesus Christ and having my grandmother adopt us and tell me to pray that Jesus will get my mother off drugs. And I, 11, 12 years old, sincerely praying to Jesus to get my mother off drugs. You know, and I don't want to say it's child abuse because my grandmother's heart was in the right place, and bless her heart, thought she was doing the right thing, but that's abuse. That's irresponsible to tell a child that's going through such a trauma, and that right now there are children all over praying. I really thought my mother's doing drugs because I'm not worshiping God properly. God knows about my dirty thoughts and thinking about girls and thinking dirty thoughts and saying curse words while I'm hanging with my friends. And that's why God won't let the demon of addiction or the grip of addiction let go of my mother, because I'm a bad kid. It's my fault, because God can do anything. But we have to show ourselves worthy of his divine grace. That is a horrible, horrible value system that is just terrorizing our people in ways we don't even contemplate because it's so normalized. It's like the air. It saturates everything we do and everywhere we are. How is not every black person aggressively anti-theology? I'm genuinely surprised to this day, even though everywhere I go, people be like, what's wrong with you? You need to stop. You need to check yourself. And I'm still genuinely surprised that not 90% of the African people are not on my side.
Man, I'm so sorry that happened to you when you was a kid, bro. You didn't deserve it.
And that's just one. I mean, every African got stories. Some of us acknowledge them, some of us don't. But every African has been abused by Christianity and Christian dogma. Every African has been abused by Islamic and Islamic dogma.
I'm really sorry that happened to you, bro.
Anyway, now can we start the show?
Let's do
it. All right.
Hey, do you hear that lawnmower in the background?
Yeah, I hear it.
All right. I'm a mute, but I'll come off when I need to chime in.
All right. Well, what's today's show? Oh. I forgot. What we talking about? Let me pull up my notes. I'm lost.
A revolutionary starter kit.
Right. Is revolution a fantasy or reality for Black people, and what does it look like? Because here's the thing: we got so many more people, you know, from being an activist. When I first became woke or conscious or involved in what could be defined as empowering, Black empowerment, Black freedom, Black positivity, I would have never called myself a revolutionary, because I genuinely thought, you know, a revolutionary was Thomas Jefferson. You know, those are the only people that were positively referred to as revolutionaries when I was growing up. In Kansas City, I'm KC.com, Prospect Ave, East Hills Village, Village Boys. Anyway, so I would have never called myself a revolutionary, because the only people I've ever heard to positively refer to as revolutionary were the so-called founding fathers. And beyond that, revolution was disruptive and negative and so on and so forth. But as the time came, I realized that I was genuinely a revolutionist. I started off as a liberal reformist. I really thought that this system could be reformed. I thought that Black people could elevate and engage and through certain internal adjustments we make as a people and certain external adjustments other people, our oppressors, tormentors, exploiters would make, then we could go have a good go at this. But as I begin to work and as I begin to observe, I also begin to understand that revolution was a necessity. And I had illusions about revolution, whereas I ain't gonna say names, but we would like get maps of the sewer systems, and we would study the anarchist cookbook and talk about Molotovs and harboring weapons, and we would go into the wilderness, the woods, and work with edged weapons and use paintball and things of that nature to prepare for old school guerrilla uprising. And I really thought that revolution would happen in my lifetime, that the glorious uprising was around the corner. The year I graduated was the year of the Rodney King Rebellion, not a riot, rebellion. And I was taking an entrance exam for the State University of New York. And I was on my way to take that exam, 1992, the spring, summer of 92. I was taking that exam because I was starting college in the fall. And I saw, because it wasn't no cell phones back then, wasn't no emails. Like, you literally had to turn on the TV and crank to the channels of, as Tony Baker called, one of them big booty TVs. You know, so literally, I saw the storefront people pulling down the shutters. This is in downtown Brooklyn. They were pulling down the shutters, jumping in their cars, and this is before pre-gentrification New York. I miss pre-gentrification New York, and they would hop in their cars and head out to Staten Island, head out to Jersey's, getting out of Dodge, heading up to Bronzeville. And I didn't know why. I was following the Rodney King trial in Simi Valley, and I knew they was doing some dirt. But then I just started seeing waves and waves of people. And my wife told me, because whenever we go to a protest, I start asking her questions, and she always says to me, the crowd knows what it's doing. Just stay in the crowd. And so I just joined the crowd, and we shut down downtown Brooklyn, which was like, you know, you have the government sector, the private sector, the businesses, all these powerful people were running scared with their tails between their legs, you know. And I'm like, wow, you know, we could just take this whole system. I mean, if we could just sustain this, they'd never come back, and nobody missed them. But we all see how that played out. But so I thought it was revolution in my time, and I sat down with an elder. I was in a member of the National Black United Front Kansas City chapter, and I was talking to the chairman at that time, and he was telling me the same time in the 60s when revolution was in the air, and he thought, he's an engineer, a family man, a grandfather, and he told me, man, listen, I thought the same thing. When I was in college and when I was in my 20s, I'm like, why even bother with school? Why even bother trying to secure a house or getting married? Because it's going to be guerrilla warfare. We're going to be in the sewers. We're going to be digging trenches. It's going to be Molotovs. It's going to be underground networks. And he had the same illusion. And here this man is trying to conspire to take over the school board and shunt resources from the police budget to the education budget. And that's what revolution looked like. So I became more realistic about what revolution globally or as a whole would look like. And I became more realistically about what revolution specifically to Black Africans of the diaspora and Africans at the seat of the empire, in the belly of the beast would look like. So I think that initially, when I became a revolutionary, there was a lot of fantasy involved. And I think I would have been more effective if I understood the realities of revolution, what revolution was and how you execute it and how it's cultivated going forward.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I definitely am of the age that absolutely thought that in my lifetime we would cast off this yoke of oppression. Like, I'm absolutely of that age. And one of the things that's wild to me about you, like, studying schematics and all of that stuff is how much I wanted somebody that could teach me those things and how there wasn't a revolutionary elder in my mind until I found Shakeway and Keel. And they never taught me to shoot guns. Like, all they taught me about was books. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm ready for the revolutionary part. Like, I'm ready to kill these white folks.
All of them for dead.
Ready to kill these white folks. And they talking about reading books. And I was like, yeah, whatever, man.
There's kind of a distortion. You were coming through clear. Now.
Yeah, I think when I drop my head is because I'm talking in my head.
Keep your head up. I know you're fed up with me, but you got to keep your head up.
But yeah, man, like, absolutely. So when I saw the topic, one of the things that I knew, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. We're going to talk about books, and we're going to talk about ways to apply ourselves. One of the things that I think is hilarious, though, is when you got the people that's like, yeah, man, they ready for the revolution. They doing push-ups. You know what I'm saying? And it's always interesting. It's still garbled and far away, Miss Sampson Anthony. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these AirPods off, and that should fix it because it wasn't before.
No, it was loud and clear.
So that's better, right?
Yeah, there's a little background noise, but your voice is more distinct.
Okay. All right, yeah. So yeah, man, like I definitely thought I wouldn't live, and I was excited about that. Like I was excited to die for the cause, man. And then I had children, and
kids ruin everything.
Yeah, I'm not done.
All your dreams and self-perceptions.
I'm not doing no. I will be an old man in a chair, reflecting on, saying 9-year-olds and things that they said. I'm not. So yeah, that's it's amazing. Like people talk about toxic masculinity and stuff like that, and it's like how, my toxic masculinity was an obsession with throwing my life into the streets for my folks. You know, like it was just dying was so much easier than living and fighting.
Yeah, I think that death urge, especially for young men, is really, people don't really understand it. That unless you, because I've been there too. I don't know if this that testosterone saturation or
Yeah.
that adrenaline pump, but yeah, I've seen reckless and risk taking behaviors in the absence of any type of rites of passage or nurturing and African centered culture is extremely harmful. But I think that um, I think you figured out, thank goodness, and as revolution is a process. It's not an event.
Yep.
To quote Dale Jones, because I think that our oppressors, our enemies, those who seek to remain in control of our resources, our destiny, and to exploit us, understood that they had to distort revolution. Revolution is inevitable. You cannot hold a people as dynamic, creative, and steadfast as African people under oppression. I think we get distorted about African people and our enslavement. African people have endured the shortest stint of colonization and enslavement than almost any other culture that ever fell to colonization and enslavement. Ireland was colonized for 800 years. They barely held Africa under old school colonization for a century. So in dealing with us, they had to constantly revamp. Serfdom in Europe lasted thousands of years, where you were tied to the land. If a noble lost his land, you were property. You had no autonomy. You had no identity separate from your lord and king. They were essentially slavery. And they endured that situation much longer than Africans. Shout out to brother Cam. He's in where is he? I think he's in the UK or somewhere doing reparations conference. But he used to have the Amos Wilson study group, and in that room, on the Northwestern University satellite campus, he would draw a timeline of African history, of documented African history, on this long, one of those old school long chalkboards, and it spanned the length of this lecture hall, and from 90% of that timeline of African history, we were free, sovereign, independent people.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a minute section of invasion, colonization, slavery, Jim Crow. It's only a fraction of our existence. And in the time, through our resistance turning around from it being illegal for us to read to having mass literacy, and from being directly colonized to them having to come up with neo-colonization, African people are actually reversing this condition much more on a historical scale than any projection, any type of historical precedent. We are creating historical precedents and new timelines almost daily. And I know that's hard to see in this state. I know it. And then I don't like to be optimistic, but he's in Ghana. Okay, in Ghana. Sorry. And the money ain't in Ghana. Why you in Ghana talking reparations, Cam? That ain't where the money reside. I need to climb out the trunk. I thought every time you need to go to Switzerland, you need to go to Geneva. Why is he? Tell Cam I said get on a plane to Europe. How you in Africa talking reparations? That ain't where the money reside. I know it's an old meme, but it's still accurate. Anyway, I always think if somebody say I'm going overseas to talk reparations, I'm saying you should be going to Europe, right? You know where the money reside.
Hey, what the Black Panthers used to say? Why you round the bank? That's where the money is.
Exactly. Exactly. Anyway. Right?
Hey, hold on.
That's like you go to Africa, you go into the fields after they've been harvested.
Look, bro. So look, I'm taking a little class for work, right?
Uh,
So I'm in the class or whatever, and the teacher's like, he talking about ethics. So he's like, what's something that's wrong, but you don't see anything wrong with it? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, robbing a bank. All the white folks, all the white folks in that class looked at me like, what? A couple nights later, he talking about like mortgage rates and how like the mortgage rate work and compound interest. And I was like, that's why you should rob a bank. That's all they doing it right. Like, yeah, man. Like, I don't know what he doing in Africa talking about reparations. Them folks don't owe us nothing. Anyhow.
Maybe he's rallying the troops.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Okay.
Let's say that. I don't know. When Cam gets back, maybe we'll
we gotta have him on, man. That'd be hilarious. Like,
okay,
what was you thinking? Good. Yeah, what are you thinking, folks?
But be careful. I gotta live here. You don't. I feel like next Friday, I gotta live here. Cam, them Chicago cats we talking about. I talk about people anyway. I have to be careful calling people names from Chicago. I gotta live here. I pray that you can talk greasy about Chicago folks. I'll talk greasy about Jacksonians.
Well, this the difference about that. I wouldn't talk crack because I don't know nothing about Chicago. I've been to Chicago maybe 3 times in my life.
Yeah.
But it ain't much I wouldn't say about Jackson because
I've been here over a decade and I don't know nothing.
Oh yeah. I tell people all the time.
I don't know nothing. You ain't don't know Chicago. Don't know Chicago. Hey, anybody tell you they know Chicago, we all here winging it.
Awful.
We all here winging. But anyway, I think that they distorted revolution. And now when people talk of revolution, they think of a grand violent event, a grand uprising. But revolution is actually, and I say this all the time, but you don't hear me though. Not you, but folks in general don't hear me. Revolution is an intellectual endeavor.
Yep.
Revolution is an intellectual endeavor. And the problem with it is that we have all the uprising, the violence, the disruption, the burning, the assassinations, the charismatic leaders. And I think one of the things that's most neglected, especially that used to be at the forefront of the African liberation struggle, but now is almost no one talks about, is ideology. I think Africans in the diaspora, when I talk to brothers organizing in other parts of the world, I think they're pretty clear on ideology, and they understood the importance of establishing and articulating and advancing and standing on and sustaining an ideological position. And that used to be one of the key components about it. Now, Black people will argue about timelines, strategies, whether intensify and tactics. But now I think that one of the reasons why there is the appearance of stagnation and the reality of stagnation within Black liberation struggles is because ideology is gone. And I think the reason why ideology is gone, core to our enemies, number one. And number two, if we did stand on ideology and understand and value ideology in terms of struggle like we should, I think it would immediately nullify and neutralize and delegitimize many Black people who claim to be revolutionary that are operating within our communities right now.
What? You cooking. Like, revolution, like most things in capital, right? Like capitalism has really, our internalized capitalism shows up in a whole lot of different ways. And one of the ways that I see it showing up a whole lot is in the way that we always try to present everything. And that's why I love the name of the show on Fridays, Earn Your Liberation. Like we're consumed with participating in America, and you can't participate in America and be about the business of revolution. Like you can't, both of those things can't be true. There are some things where two things can be true, but that's not one of them. and that honestly is their version of wanting to die in the fire of revolution, right? Like, I want to get my money, I want to do my thing, I want to have my this and that. Because ultimately, if you stop to think about where you really are and what you really have to accomplish, you too scared. Like, that's what wanting to die was for me. I was scared, man. Like, I didn't know what was gonna come. I didn't see it getting better. So I would rather die and have my name ring out and remember, you know what I'm saying, for what I did, than really have to live and grow and mature and figure out how to be a husband and figure out how to be a father and go to a job I might not like and drive a Ford Taurus.
That's
Like,
a lot scarier for a lot of brothers.
bro, I am a lot of brothers. That is me. So, like I tell people all the time, man, like, I would never in my wildest dreams have imagined that I would be where I am now. And I ain't made it, but just where I am now, like, to be loved, to have children that are healthy and smart and amazing, to travel, to build community, like, to be present, to love, like, to have those things, man, like, and folks just trying to find their version of that, you know?
I always thought I was too cool for that corny shit. I really thought to me it wasn't really streets or the call of the streets. I just thought I was way too smooth and cool to be happily married with a couple of kids. Corny as hell.
I guess, man, like, you ever like, y'all had the electrical box in your neighborhood?
Oh yeah, that thing that used to hum, the big
Yeah.
green thing. Hell yeah, the projects. They put that shit right next to the nursery.
All right. So y'all used to sit on there to talk about life.
Yeah, and kick it. You kick your heels and you sit on there and you kick and bang beats.
Yeah.
It was...
Bro, I used to sit on that shit, man.
Electricity in Mississippi. You learn something new every day.
That's why you got punched in the face of the South.
Yeah, man. I need my reparations. If Cam can go to Africa for reparations, I'm going to the dirty. I'm going to the South to get reparations.
So look,
it was
bro,
a sucker punch. You ain't nothing y'all should be proud of,
bro.
Now, I know cats in the South don't talk. That's a weird thing. Like in New York, people get all up in each other's faces. Screw you, yeah, you scumbag. Man, the South, you either you hold your shit together or you fight. Ain't no in between. Ain't no build up. Ain't no anticipation.
It was a build up.
Y'all ain't no chest thumping. No.
I've
been down there.
No.
Y'all go from 0 to 100. Y'all go from laid back, cool to hauling off on people.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you didn't know what the build up was, but it was build up.
It wasn't no build up. The build up wasn't no bumping shoulders.
Oh no, we ain't knocking no sticks off shoulders.
Exactly.
Hey,
the weirdest shit.
Hey man.
And I'm South adjacent. I'm from the Midwest.
Hey, look, boy. Like, so anyhow, so we sitting on this box, man, and I'm making all these promises. I was like, I used to always think, like, if my dad was around more, like, all types of shit wouldn't happen. And it was stuff that had nothing to do with my dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I know how to walk a bike. Like, man, like, I know how to walk a bike. I know, like, Michelle Curry wouldn't have rejected me. Like, all types of things. Like,
I say all the time, the greatest fathers are the absent fathers, because kids come up with these fantasies. If you want to be a super legendary, could do no wrong father, just disappear, because your child will form in their mind all these fantasies about
man, boy, look,
so true. Me and my homies used to sit around and talk about what our fathers would do if they was here, if they only knew.
That's all I'm on, bro. And the foolish thing was that I really believed that. And the promises that I made as a boy to my children and my community, like all it like all of that I said I was gonna do, and the man that I was gonna be doing it, like that's it. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, I was gonna die in the revolution. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna take 3 or 4 with me, and they was gonna be like, boy, when in the free world, you know what I'm saying? My kids was gonna be like, yeah, man, my daddy, you know what I'm saying? He was front line on in the revolution, you know, and but aside from dying in the revolution, chunks of those things, yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say this because I don't want to disrespect our ancestors who did shed blood, and that's the thing about dying for the revolution. You know, it's harder to live for something than it is to die for something. And our ancestors didn't really die for freedom and die for revolution. They were murdered. They were assassinated. You know, you didn't go to jail. They took you to jail. You know, you didn't die. You were killed. So, I think if we, unfortunately, in order to, I think to attract more functional and deliberate people to the struggle, we have to be more honest and clear about the nature of struggle, especially a protracted multi-generational struggle. We have to be clear about the goals and the aims. We have to be clear on what revolution is and what revolution isn't. You know, I've been in so many spaces where people are like, revolution is black businesses. You know,
man, all I think about is that Jared when he talk about from the book, he'd be like, they thought they would get something, but all they got was a bank.
Yeah, but you know, folks getting mad at me, you know, and because because essentially, if we are going to, there's really no compromise. You know, non-revolution, it's revolution or extinction, because our oppressor isn't just content with controlling the majority of the world's resources, occupying territory well beyond their population needs and their just or defined borders. They have a death urge. They're toxifying and disrupting every ecosystem. We're in the midst of a mass extinction. And I mean, I talk about this on every broadcast. And so revolution isn't even just about Black people getting our land back, getting our resources back, and reclaiming our destiny. Revolution is simply about having water to drink, air to breathe, and soil to cultivate food on, because all of those things are in rapid decline. And they are destroying ecosystems at the same time reserving the most viable ecosystems for themselves and locking people out.
Asada Asada says the system builds revolutionaries. You know, and I think that goes back to what you were saying earlier about the short time that we were, you know, and that's something I've never thought about. The short time that we suffered under white we got to come up with a word for it, white something, because we weren't ruled by them.
Hegemony.
Yeah,
or domination.
Yeah, but we still experiencing the white domination part. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just something that captures that it was a short period of time until it transitioned into this new phase of it. You know, anyhow, but yeah, like also because you know, you don't believe this, right? But I do. But they fighting against God. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just insane in and of itself, right? Like the planet is God. And you are attempting to dominate the planet, and the planet is going to win.
Well, being a science fiction nerd that I am, I call it terraforming.
Mm.
Europeans were in resource scarce areas, and they pretty much evolved in resource scarce spaces. And that's where they dwell. So when they came into spaces of abundance, they created artificial scarcity. When they came into places where they were peace, they provoked conflict. There's been too many examples of Europeans where we've been all taught this history about we've been taught this history about Europeans coming somewhere for freedom, whether it's the pilgrims coming to the New World for freedom, or the Mormons going to Utah and Independence, Missouri for freedom, where it's Zionists going to Palestine for freedom, or the Irish fleeing famine and repression coming to the New World via Ellis Island for freedom. Everywhere we have these stories across the globe of white people. I think the only place you probably can say that Europeans didn't go, where they don't have the mythology of their ancestors coming there for freedom, is Australia, because Australia started off as a penal colony. What that is?
Drinking alkaline water.
You falling for that hustle?
No, well, that's what was available.
To Sabi.
But yeah, but like this right here, it looked like I might have been drinking a beer. So I just wanted to show that it was water.
Oh. So hey, like Jared's the only person that come on the air at 7 a.m. drinking a pint with a Guinness. It's a wild dude.
Maniac.
Anyway, we got all these stories. Everywhere you find white people taking other people's shit, even the Boers of South Africa have this story about fighting the crown and freedom, where white folks talk about going somewhere to find freedom. And when they land there, not only do they recreate the very conditions they claim they were escaping, they often come up in more sadistic and vicious. And black people, African people, we always think, well, the Jews can relate to us. Oh, look at all the persecution they felt. They suffered pogroms, lynchings, burning of their villages, demonization, and scapegoating. The Jews can relate. Oh, the Irish can understand what we've been through colonization. The Irish understand. Oh, the Mormons got to know. Their leader was lynched. Mormons were lynched and killed and driven off. We even go, oh, the Hispanics know. They are a marginalized group and their labor's being exploited. Oh, the Arabs surely understand. Islamophobia, having their lands, carpet saturation, bombing and invasions. We always try to relate to say these other people go through this thing that is akin or a parallel to what we've been through. But then we turn around and see that they, when given a position and an opportunity, they inflict the very same harsh atrocities that they have a history of enduring. And it just keeps happening over and over, and we keep falling for it because we don't understand. And I used to say this a lot, but I stopped saying it because it's misconstrued in a lot of ways. And some people can mistake it as victim blaming. Nothing that African people were willing to organize ourselves, our time, talent, and resources to secure has been denied us. The problem is not that we are unable to achieve the things we want. The problem is that we want the wrong shit. We organize and fight for the wrong shit. We don't even distinguish or as Dale Jones put it more succinctly, we lose so much we don't know what a victory looks like. So now more than ever, especially in the social media era, I see African people, even so-called conscious, even revolutionary, Pan-African Black people celebrating victories that are actually losses, celebrating regression as progress. And when you try to identify, saying, well, this may look good on the surface, but ultimately this is not consistent with liberation, with revolution. This particular act does not challenge, subvert, or undermine any existing status quo or any existing hierarchy. And then I'm the bad guy. Say goodbye to the bad guy. But I truly don't like to be a bad guy. You know, I be that guy. You know, but it's really sad. So my 2 points is white folks terraform places. They socially, culturally, and physically terraform places, because if you can show me an example, you know, even in Switzerland, even in the they talk about the social democratic of Northern Europe, when they still engaged in eugenics and discrimination. Even the best white folks still got elements of the worst white folks. They terraform. What's left to win? What's left to conquer? And they still doing it. So I think one, in revolution being Black revolution, number one, we have to understand, as Chancellor Williams said, white folks, white people are our implacable foe. They are our eternal, bitter enemy. Number one. Number two, African people have to understand that anything less than an absolute total subversion of white hegemony and the systems and institutions of capitalism is an abject failure and a doom for all complex life forms and all Earth's ecosystems. That's how stakes are. And I just don't hear that. And I don't understand why people who created civilizations are now reduced to celebrating the opening of businesses and banks.
Well, you know, we have gone so far to the right. The Lighthouse talks about it. Natalie talks about it all the time. We've gone so far to the right that common sense is just like this radical, how do we do that type of endeavor. So I tell you, so today, well, two things, because it's on my mind. And maybe I just want to say this and it doesn't relate. So either way. So I went to the border today.
Which
one? San Diego and Tijuana. And there is you cross one wall and you're on American soil, but it's a gray area of American soil. So you have to cross the other wall, which is the 30-foot high wall, right? Like it's pretty weird. In between these two walls, though, is this no man's area of people just be out there. You know what I'm saying? And you could be out there 2 days, you could be out there 2 hours. And it's not covered. It ain't nothing out there. They're just essentially standing in like a vacant lot until the Border Patrol agents pick them up, even though there are instances where the Border Patrol agents drop them off. Right?
Open air detention.
Okay. So they just out there. This is why I'm bringing this up. We read this article about how to shoot an elephant. And essentially, it's a George Orwell short story. That's another thing that I think we should do. And I'll follow up with you about this. So in this piece, the protagonist is a white guy in East Asia, Burma, something like that, maybe, like doing the work of empire. And he has to shoot an elephant that's acting like an elephant, right? and all of the work that he has to do in order to kill this elephant. Ultimately, our goals are not the end of white domination. Our goals are to participate in it. So, bringing up the market, bringing up the shooting of the elephant, well, bringing up the open air detention, bringing up the shooting of the elephant, like tying that, like braiding those things together, is essentially all of the things that we do are things that we're doing because the thing that we want to do is bad. Like if you just really was like, hey, hold on, I don't think I'm gonna do that, and just kind of give it a little bit more thought, you wouldn't do it. It's like us talking about the revolution, right? Like it's hard for me to look down on them because in my mind, dying in the street with a rifle in my hand that, Diallo picked up and got away with is there opening a black-owned business. Like they're both just fantastical things that kind of divert attention away from the suffering of the moment. Like you would rather have this fantasy thing than to sit down and look at your real political reality and say, well, I got to do something about this. So you want to build your business plan. I can really do something about this. So now I got to become a mogul. And you really want to participate in capitalism because you're really intrigued by it. You're not disgusted by it. You're intrigued by it. And maybe it's sour grapes, right? Like you want to do something different because it's sour grapes. Like I don't, freedom ain't gonna be all that anyway. And you just want to live like white folks because you really believe white folks better than you.
The proof is in the pudding, and I think if we as individuals and we as a collective really came to terms with that and really accepted that, I think that will allow us to contemplate more appropriate actions in response to this. Because I think that where you had mentioned ethics and taking ethics class, I remember I took a medical ethics class. I think the only appropriate way to expend life's energies is through engaging in revolution. And revolution doesn't, I think, require that someone abandons life. I think I think it enriches your life. It's a very simple thing where there are so many, as Derek Jensen would say, the one good thing about literally everything being fucked up is you have a wide array of things to do and so many options on how to engage struggle. Because literally any direction, any field, any interest, anything that you get off on, you can engage in such a way that the bar, the entry level, a positive contribution to just aspirations. And you can wake up wherever you are with whatever resources, whatever alliances or connections, whatever your formal and informal education is. You can come up where you stand in ways to make a positive contributions to the just aspirations of your people. And that to me is the entry level to revolution. I think that supersedes any type of knowledge or formal instruction and reading of the revolutionary text, equipping or arming yourself, adopting an ancestral or African name. I think when you really say, can I make a positive contributions to our just aspirations? And you can get up to the level where you are working to subvert global white hegemony and capitalism, which are the two mechanisms which the oppressors are using to sustain this system and to rapidly push humanity and all of all other complex life forms towards oblivion. And I think that it really helps to get a lot of Black folks away from this apocalyptic outlook, which is another thing which kind of gets us back to our earlier discussion. I think one of the most harmful things is this basic notions of end time and this obscene notion of an afterlife. I think if we would get away from the absurdity of end time prophecies and the fallacy of an afterlife, I think a lot more people would be more engaged to properly and fully engage with their material existence, their current material existence.
What's super interesting about that is, and I don't want to start talking about religion again, but like the way that you think that holds people back and the way that I think that propels people forward. Right? Like I think the guarantee of death is freeing for me. It's one of those things where I know that I don't have a lot of time, so I got to do all the things that I said that I'm gonna do now. Right? Like that, knowing that I'm gonna die gives me an urgency that I don't know if I would otherwise have. Because one of my biggest one of my biggest fears is living to see the outcome of a regret. Like, so just being on the couch and being like, man, what if I would have tried harder at doing? And I know we all gonna have our version of that, but it's just like, nah, like that's why you get up and do it. Because if you're gonna die, you're gonna die. So in ways, as a younger man, I wanted to die out of fear of not knowing if I would be able to become the things that I'm becoming. And as an older man, I see myself wanting to live so that I can see the things to the fruition of, so that I can see the fruition of the things that I'm doing now. Like, and I just think, I definitely think there are people that, worried about heaven. And when I encounter those people, I tell them faith without work is dead. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you weren't born to die, and go to heaven. Like, you got to do something with the time that you have. And I think it's just a different interpretation of the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. You know what I say when they say faith without work is dead.
What's that?
Work without faith is work.
It's still work.
Just work.
But watch this though. I think that is where, again, I said I ain't want to talk about religion, so you can't even respond to this.
Okay.
I think that is why I'm able to work with you like I do. Because it don't matter why you doing the work. It don't matter why, as long as you do it.
I hear
like that's Alcoholics Anonymous. We gotta abandon personalities. Like it's principles over personalities. Like, some things are just me things, and you can dislike it. But am I being true to the work? And if the answer to that is yes, then you gotta respect me. And if the answer to that, if I'm not being true to the work, then you can't ride with me, even if I'm your boy.
Absolutely. All right. But I won't respond to that.
Thank you.
So, and ultimately, I would say, revolutionary can be a fantasy or a reality. And I think what separates those who honestly and productively engage in revolution, organizing, or people who basically accept the realities of revolution being a multi-generational process, versus those who get caught up in the theatrical end game of revolution, where even when you want to look from the Bolsheviks to the Cuban Revolution to the Bolivarian struggle, the Bolivarian Revolution, when you look at these revolutionary leftist, liberatory, communist, socialist, decolonial revolutions, we see the explosion, but we don't see the chemistry in the lab to make the bomb. We don't see the mining of the ore to get the minerals to make the bomb. We don't see the logistics, the planning that goes into it. We just see the end game, and we think we can jump to that process. So it is our job to be revolutionary. It is our job to construct revolutionaries. It is our job to cultivate revolution. And one thing you have to understand, that revolution isn't necessarily even to bring down the system, because the system is collapsing under its own weight, under its own contradictions and corruptions. But the problem is the system going to fall to the left or to the right? Is the system going to fall to intensified barbarism, or is it going to collapse and open up for humanity? You know, will we all be fighting and cannibalizing each other over the last scrap of fresh water, or will we restore the Earth's ecosystems cooperatively? So even if you're like, well, what's the point of acting because the system is collapsing? Things can fall left or right. And we have to make sure, even if it's collapsing, that it falls to the left ideologically, you know, structurally, that leftism, leftist ideology, leftist practices, leftist worldview and philosophies are ones that predominate. Because this system was doomed. Even the most stringent advocates and supporters of finance capitalism and militarism understand that it's unsustainable and is in its late stage capitalism. So with that, I'd like to address a few comments and then open it up, because I know you got a hard stop.
Let's do it.
All right.
Oh my God! Did you just kill a gnat?
Yes, but I'm not gonna eat it.
So you just killed it for sport?
No, I got all these plants, man. Look, I got all these goddamn plants, and these fungus gnats. I ain't gonna whip it around because I don't want to be like Dr. Umar when his camera flipped on him. Remember? And he had to talk about, you know, I guess ain't no shame in my game. But I took most of the plants out of this room. Let me see. Oh, this thing don't even go 360. I only have a few left. But it's winter time, and I have some plants that I put out. I put out when the weather's nice, and I had to bring them suckers in, and I got these little fungus gnats. But I mean, it's not bad.
You just killed something that you.
No, I missed it actually. I tried.
Sport. You just killed it for sport.
Like, no, I killed it to preserve my plant. I don't want it to reproduce. They will attach. They kill plants. Those fungus gnats. So I got my little neem oil and stuff. You know, I'm working on it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'll kill somebody. Come in my house. Listen, come in my house, insectoid or mammal or rodent. You come in my house and pose a threat to the well-being of my people and the living things that I'm responsible for. Yeah, you can get clapped. Don't come in this house uninvited. I'm a peaceful man. You know, I'll meet you in the park. We can hug trees and frolic through the tulips, but don't come in this space uninvited. I don't care if you're a fungus gnat or whatever else. Anyway.
Hey, DC Joe Black said it best. I was trying to remember the word. Hey, shout out to DC Joe Black. That's descended violence.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's lateral violence at best.
Nope, that's descending.
If somebody kick in your door, threaten you.
First off, he didn't kick in the door. You brought him in.
Oh, I didn't mean I brought the plant in. He hitched a ride on the plant. I'm gonna argue this with you. With a you eating animal carcasses, trying to tell me about the ethics of squashing a fungus net.
Hey, you the one telling me that you a vegan and you ain't gonna harm nothing. And I'm just saying, you in there murdering that. You a hypocrite.
Okay. I'll go read. I have to go consult the vegan handbook. I don't know. It's been a while. I've been a vegan since for over 30 years. I'm just winging it at this point. But
no,
anyway,
you definitely not winging it. You cauliflowered
it. Sincere said accurate according to whom? Because I said I looked for accuracy when I'm bumping heads with folks. I try to be sincere and I try to be accurate. I don't think that accuracy or truth or facts are unique to any individual. So okay. I say accurate. It's not according to whom. It's according to what. And what I'm saying is according to is through the scientific method.
Okay.
Of making a claim, testing the claim, reproducing the claim, and making those the methodology and the outcomes discoverable. So there are hard and consistent methods that humans can utilize to arrive at the truth in academic and informal ways. So whether we're trying to determine the value or validity of an idea, or trying to determine the validity of a material facts, we do have a methodology. And I'm not trying to be accurate according to what I want to be true. I'm trying to be accurate to what is true. And if something is unknowable, I don't make claims about knowing the unknown or having all knowledge or having divine wisdom. If I don't know, I'll simply say I don't know. But what is known, I will stand on until that it can be challenged through greater data or expansion of understanding. So it's accurate according to reality, to the truth. That's
okay.
And then I get this a lot. People don't understand what dogma is. I am not dogmatic. I think that everything should be questioned, challenged, examined, dissected, and reconstructed. But people say, well, if you don't accept my absolutely absurdist and false view, then you're dogmatic. I'm not dogmatic. I'm just evidence-based, and I'm skeptical. But I am willing to change. Give me evidence and I'll change. The moment I see evidence of the divine, the supernatural, the otherworldly, I will be burning sage and wear a satin diaper and you know, a mohawk, whatever the supernatural element thing tells me to do, I'm going to do it to the fullest. And I'll be out here bumping heads with atheists. I'd love to get out the atheist box. And I've invited people to evangelize and awaken me, you know, so I'm not dogmatic. I'm willing to change.
Okay.
And that and then finally, this blaspheming, why not learn? I don't understand why you don't fully agree with Chancellor Williams, but you know, I just want to point out blaspheming. So that's a blaspheming. So secular blaspheming.
A secular blasphemy. I like that. I like the concept. Somebody asked me if I have somebody asked me, like, they know Diallo has 2 kids. How many kids do I have? I got 2 boys.
2-boy gang.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Boy gang. I got 2 boys.
Best boys in the world, man. Diallo, no, he looked at him. He was jealous.
Yes. Yeah, you got the 2 best boys. I got the 3rd and 4th best boys. Yeah. One of my sons is a full-on adult.
Yeah, he done.
Yeah, he done. He done. No, I tell my wife all the time, he's still under warranty. We still call him about his grades, at least until his bachelor's. We're going to ride him till the wheels fall off. So I say, listen, he's out of the house. He got his own place. He got his own job. He's adult, but he's still under warranty. So we still raising him.
Yeah, he'll still come back every night.
Satellite parenting.
Came to the house and made groceries. You know?
Right. Oh, yeah, he just did it again. He did it again. This came through. Yeah, that's his favorite the Kenyatta corner store. So yeah, I got 1 child. Okay, we got our first Shirley's on deck. Okay,
hello.
What's up, Shirley?
Hello,
welcome.
Skip. Hello, Diallo. How are you, gentlemen, this evening?
I'm well.
Good. Diallo, I was a bit worried about you last Friday. Sometimes I do worry about your mental health.
Was he out of control?
He wasn't out of control. I just thought sometimes I think they are really hard on him, and I just hope that whatever, Skip. I see you. I just hope that I believe he's more resilient and he can take the back and forth. But I was kind of worried about you. Are you okay, Diallo?
Yeah, I'm good, sis. I've been doing this since I was 14 years old.
Okay.
I've been challenging the harmful impacts of theology and spirituality and cults on our community since I was 14. So, I'm good. But I do appreciate the concern.
Yes,
Shirley,
Skip. Yes, Skip.
I looked at your picture.
Yes.
And I knew that you were a good, sensible woman.
I am, but I hear a butt coming.
And you come on here, after this man raged against the machine for 2 hours, and you talking about you checking on him.
I am.
I'm shocked at you, Shirley.
I need to be checked on.
I am, because look, boy, the chat, they just eat him up. And I really didn't get how people were so upset with Diallo. I mean, we know his stance on religion. And Jared even said, hey, I'm probably harder than Diallo, but he doesn't go as hard as, let's say not go as hard. Let's say he's not as unvarnished. He's not as unvarnished with it as Diallo is. And I think sometimes the temperament rubs people the wrong way, but he wasn't rubbing me the wrong way. I was just listening. And so that I was concerned about him. I'm glad he has a good wife. And I remember that one time she had to come on and sort of like hold his hand and get him through it a couple of weeks ago. So I'm just glad he has a good support system. I just want to say I enjoy this show. And so just keep doing the work you guys are doing. And Skip.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I appreciate how you were trying to sort of talk Diallo through some of the stuff earlier in the show. But, Diallo's going to be Diallo. And that's okay. All right?
I appreciate you, sister. But yeah, I am good. And I do need checking in on, so don't stop.
I won't. Okay. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Have a nice night.
You too.
Man, Shirley, that touches me because now I got a new aunt. Because I had an auntie Shirley that passed away to COVID.
Oh man.
Yeah. So now I got a new Aunt Shirley on deck. See how the Lord closed a door and the Lord opened a window.
He do though.
I wish I could buy into that shit because there's some gems in there. I wish I could be religious.
He do
man,
though.
don't you know? Okay, Oak's been trying to check in. Oak.
Okay, I remember, buddy. Hey, what's happening with you?
Very well. Big ups to you guys for the great work. Bro Diallo, I was actually trying to see if we were going to come on Monday on the radio station, and I was you didn't come on Monday. I was like,
sorry, yeah, I'll be live. Yeah, I'm working some stuff out, y'all. If you've been watching the Bro Diallo broadcast, been some severe technical difficulties. So I'm working on it.
So go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. So whatever I got to do, Bro Diallo broadcast, Monday morning broadcast will return Monday.
Awesome.
Whatever, inshallah.
Thank you for not cowing to I would say the passive aggressive method Skip was trying to say. With no disrespect to you, Skip. I'm just saying, for example, I think this is my own belief. For anyone who's going to be a true Pan-Africanist, you cannot believe in the Abrahamic religion, because it is one of the instruments, one of the number one instruments that has been used to marginalize and terrorize and suppress the African people. I'll say this last point. I'm a Nigerian, and currently in Nigeria, there is a Yoruba guy who is in prison. I'm not joking. He's in prison simply because he insulted the so-called Allah and he burned the Quran. the same thing the Christians do. They would go to an African shrine and burn things of our deity. They are a very aggressive and very terrorizing religion. So if Bro Diallo just verbally insults or say harsh words to these people, I don't think that is way too much. For anyone who doesn't believe in it, you can tune your ears off. I was just gonna say that, but no disrespect to Skip. I hear you, but I in my own little world, trust me, I insult these Christians with the harshest words that I can use. And I don't think Bro Diallo actually insults them. It's just stating the fact accurately. Are Christians terrorists? Yes, they are. They've terrorized Africans. Have they done things to Africans that and continues to do? Go to Africa. Many Africans bear Abrahamic names. There's a book by the name Something Torn and New. I think Skip should read that book by Ngugi wa Thiong'o. He said one of the most harming thing that the colonist does was that they implanted their memories in our head. We bear their names. They don't bear our names. So I was telling a friend last week, and I said, for Africans to come to this continent or to Europe, we have to pass through hell to get a visa. Are those the same kind of people who will let us get into their kingdom of their God easily? No way. It's not going to happen. Go to the Arabian countries, the same. They're very aggressive. And those are the same kind of people who are preaching to us that they want us to be in the kingdom of their God. It's a lie. It's a facade. They're selling this lie to us. So if we are very sure and accurate, saying things out to those Abrahamic religion children, and they think we are not entertained. No. We're only trying to put a mirror to them that your God is aggressive toward us. It's a violent God towards us, towards we Africans. I'm just gonna step out. Thank you guys for this amazing platform. Yes.
Before you go, can you rename that book? Because I couldn't find it. I looked up something old and new. I think I missed
Something Torn and New.
Yeah, Something Torn and New.
Okay, good deal. Thank you.
Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Amazing book. Amazing book.
Appreciate you, Oak. Please continue to check in.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right. So we got a few people in the waiting room, so we're gonna try to keep it succinct. Ron, you're live with the Rational Radicals. Okay, let's pull Ron out. Give him a moment to get it together. The tap in. You're muted. The tap in. You're live. The tap in.
All right, sorry about that.
Oh, it's all gravy.
All right. Thank you for putting me on and all that. I just kind of wanted to hit y'all up and basically just saying that I think the real issue that people sort of be discussing, like when they chop it about Diallo, is delivery, bro. You know what I mean? How you come across people and all that, or how you communicate what you're trying to communicate. You know what I mean? And that's just something that kind of got to be paid attention to, because just in just real life, like you and Skip got that dynamic too. You know, Skip got certain things that he do, like when the delivery be off, just to sort of like keep the energy. You see what I'm saying? Or not to sort of follow that type of energy that's starting to get struck up like that. You know what I'm saying? And the reason that is because it's a reality, like, you know, just out of fact, like in real life, people die because of the wrong delivery, or not to say die, man. Let me not say that, but we get into a lot of problems, like in all our communities based on that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we gotta pay attention to that. Like that's something that you gotta be, not you, but we as Black people gotta be responsible about. Because you know, it do turn into situations, and those situations, like when I'm thinking about it, I know a lot of situations that went bad just because the way somebody decided to handle something, even if it was true or not, the way they decided to handle it, they kind of they let the dynamic between them and somebody else turn into something over time. You know what I'm saying? And while you might be saying the truth, you don't got to put somebody in a position where they feel like they in the
Yep.
corner. You know what I mean? Because once somebody in a corner, it's just banging at that point. Like it's just hands up. Like, you know what I'm saying? And for as an individual myself, like I'm you know, I listen to everybody on the platform, and I listen to you, and I'm trying to be better about who I am. And so one of the things I had to do was to be honest with myself a lot. And if I put somebody in a position where they're gonna put their hands up and bang on me, it's like I gotta admit that I did that, and I gotta sort of accept that I set that situation, and I might bang back, but the responsibility is on me. So then that start putting me in a position where I approach it different. That's what it is. I approach it different. You feel me? So I approach it so that I don't make a situation where somebody else, instead of focusing on what I'm really saying to them, they got to deal with how what the position I'm putting them in because of the way I chose to say it, you know. And that's just out of the fact that, you know, where we at, you know, you could end up with cuffs on, you can end up in a worse situation, but it's the same all around, you know, and you got information that you're really trying to deliver. And I feel like, yo, deliver it, bro, but don't really just be on some like, you know, just don't put people in that situation, homie.
Can I add something else to that tap in? Like, and tell me if you agree with this, because you're not just talking as Diallo guy on the internet, like you talking as a voice, like you was somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if you was a nobody, you could be dismissed. But you literally are somebody, and somebody can walk away from all the good work that you're doing, all the information that you're sharing, rejecting that based off of something that don't even have nothing to do with it.
Yeah. I mean, I hear like, but you're right, because when eyes is on a person, like when eyes is on you, then like it's more. When eyes is on you, eyes is on the person that you, one, people's paying attention and they taking what you're saying in, and then two, the eyes is on the person that you speaking to. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm saying, my examples is just like personal examples, but they stand out so much I can't ignore them. So it's like, if I'm talking to somebody, I might be able to talk to you one-on-one in a room, right? And I could say something to you. And like, to your point, Skip, like, let's say that I'm somebody big homie, right? And I come off at them a certain type of way, right? They might listen to me, but they still might harbor some shit in their brain because they like, oh, big homie just got off on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they feel like they got something to carry on their shoulder, or they got to prove something later. You know what I mean? And they might never say nothing to me about it, but it might boil up later because they've been sitting on it. And it's just because of how I handled them. But then in the other situation, it's like, if I'm in public and I say something slick around a whole gang of motherfuckers, pardon my language, I apologize. You know what I mean? But
All right.
if I say something around a gang, then he really gotta get on his, you know what I'm saying? He gotta get on his toes about that, because now he got eyes on him. You know what I mean? And they gonna respond to that, and they gonna smell blood on him. And then, you know what I'm saying? It's wolf time. And the thing is that we don't be realizing, but that really come from like the internal type. People know when somebody, they inner dignity be sort of getting poked at. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's the how, you know what I'm saying? And like Skip saying though, like really, you at a point where you be having like 100, 200, 300 people, you know what I'm saying, at a clip, you know what I'm saying, sitting down and paying attention. And they really, and everybody here trying to get something, you know what I'm saying? They trying to get something. They trying to take something away. So When
Can,
you handle it that way, then that's part of something that's getting delivered, and that's how people be like, damn, like, you know what I mean? They come back at you in a certain type of way, you know.
right. I appreciate, you know, the delicacy of what you're saying, because I think you are absolutely correct in terms of the potential for conflict, for harm, and for misunderstanding, and all of the dangers that come with taking positions against established, whether for good or for bad, but established norms are it's dangerous to challenge them. And I do want everyone to understand that I have rules of engagement. You know, um, there's nobody that could out there can tell you I've gone up into anybody's holy space. I've been into everything from people's Akan shrines and Akan rituals to mosque and masjids to temples and tabernacles. And I respect that when I'm in their spaces, when I go to their spaces, I know no one came there to hear my secularist atheistic point of view, and I show absolute respect. But the issue is that one thing I know about, because we have in this, there, like the brother just said, there are Africans imprisoned on the African continent for disrespecting Islam. And the brother in prison got off relatively easy, because there are other instances of heinous torture, mutilation for minor disrespects of Islam. I've seen women be slapped because she put her elbow and there was a Quran, and she rested her elbow on the Quran that someone left on the surface, and she just rested her elbow, and the man assaulted her. And everybody went to her, it's like, in trying to explain to her about the Quran, the sacredness of the Quran. And so I understand when people get into irrational belief systems, they can behave in unpredictable and dangerous ways. But I do have rules of engagement. And the most fundamental component of my rule is I won't bring my stuff to your space, and you don't bring your stuff to my space. And the moment, and another rule is, if you don't put it on the table, then I cannot consume, digest, and process it. So if we are in a neutral space, we should function neutral. If we are in a holy space, then I will respect the holiness. If we are in a secular atheistic space and you bring your stuff, then you open it up to being challenged. You know, I remember there was some radical feminist author, and said that you should treat your religion like your genitals. You should treat your religion like your genitals. And you shouldn't expose it to strangers, and you shouldn't expose it to people who haven't given you consent to expose it to them. And if you do expose it, you can expect a myriad of reactions, from excitement to outrage, from acceptance to rejection. So I think that's a thing. And then one question I want to ask of either one of you or both of you. Can you name an African spiritual system, an African belief system, an African divine tradition or philosophy that Christianity, Judaism, or Islam has shown any level of respect to, or has allowed to coexist with?
I mean, like, I'm gonna answer because I know that like Skip ain't really going to play with that one. But like, as far as coexisting with, I'm not, and then it's kind of complicated a little bit, because you got to kind of think of like, all right, when we talk about, all right, so when we talking about that Abraham stuff, then you got to talk about, like, it's time, like what point in time? Because I'll be honest with you, right? They got certain groups of people that's supposed to be Abrahamic throughout Africa, right? And so you got some like in South Africa, and I'm trying to think. I think they call them the Lemba, and now they call it the Lemba Jews. But the thing about them is that they like, people know they Abrahamic because of the way they live their life, but they don't necessarily like do the whole Torah thing, but they coexist with everybody there. You know what I'm saying? But then like what happened is that like a couple years back, then they got what you call it, like apparently the people from Israel came over there and grabbed a whole bunch of them and went to Israel with them for whatever reason or whatever. Because they was like legitimately, supposedly, like really like Hebrews or something like that. So it's like in certain cases it's like that, but then it's kind of like what y'all be talking about, like imperialism and all that. Like I think to a certain degree, in certain ways, imperialism gets into these like religions, you know what I'm saying, or these traditions, because if it all came from that one dude Abraham, then it got to be like a tradition, and it's just different types of it, you know what I'm saying? But when imperialism get into it, and I guess people also being messed up as like human beings, you know what I'm saying, with the whole thing about the whole anti-blackness and the whole racism, they carry that too. Then it starts to really turn into something that's like an imperial like racism, like a abusive type of situation. So in certain ways it might coexist, right? And then in the case that we really all familiar with, like all of us is familiar with and that we experienced, all right, that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? So what you're saying is right. But to that end, right, I could dig what you're saying as far as, all right, you speaking truthfully about the fact that us as Africans, right, being black people, we not getting no respect or regard from this system, right? But the reality is, like, and like going back to what I was kind of saying, is that these people that still is in from all parts of from all three types of that Abrahamism, right? Whether it be the Jewish one or the Christian one or the Muslim one, those people is still, they my brothers. You know what I'm saying? The Africans that's doing that. And so I gotta find a way to vibe with them in order to sort of get to the point where I could communicate and say, pardon self or whatever, like, you know what I mean? But
yeah, well,
hey,
I
this
have
ain't
to.
really
Well,
this ain't really rocking.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I appreciate that, but we'll leave it on this note because we got a couple of people in the waiting room.
all right,
I do appreciate that, but I have to say, and everybody know this, I love Muslims, but I hate Islam. I love Christians, but I hate Christianity. My target is not the believers. My target is the unjust hierarchies, systems, institutions, stolen resources, and unyielding atrocities. And I know it's hard for people to distinguish themselves from that. You know, being probably the system that in a practice that has most impacted my lifestyle and how I move is being a vegan. And I hear a lot of people level very legitimate criticisms against veganism. Oh, I got that banner going all that time. Sorry. Very legitimate criticisms against PETA and other organization, Animal Liberation Front, and veganism as a philosophy and practice. And I understand someone criticizing veganism as a way of life and a philosophy versus me as a vegan individual. I can make that distinction. And I would just tell you, any believer, in order to engage with people so that you don't find yourself cloistered and cut off and aggressing towards people who don't deserve your ire and aggression, you should be able to distinguish between the critique, criticism, and rejection of Christianity and the rejection of a Christian, or the critique and criticism and rejection of Islam versus the rejection of a Muslim.
all right. Well,
I do
yo,
appreciate you checking in,
and
please call in.
Hey,
okay, Ron.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Tap in, come back, bro. You solid, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I didn't kick them out.
Yeah, he should still be here to hear that. That's good. Yeah,
all right, good. All right, Ron, trying again.
Okay. Here's my phone.
You.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay.
Yes.
First of all, it's an honor to talk to you. I think out of everybody that I hear on the internet or wherever I'm listening, you are the person that most reflects how I feel about things, even though I don't understand. I'm not as educated about being, quote unquote, a revolutionary Pan-Africanist. Your approach to things kind of meets my sensibilities. A lot of times I get real frustrated where people are so comfortable about talking about the oppression of Black people. And here's the best example I can give you. Yvette Carnell that started the ADOS movement, you know, when she used to go on Boyce Watkins' show, she had this angst and this passion and this fire that inspired you to listen to her and kind of activate you. And what happened was, then she got a lot of supporters. And when people started getting money, you could see she was getting comfortable. And the more she got comfortable, it was kind of the less the fire was in her speech. What I like about you, what I like about you is that you have, there's a ferociousness and an underlying anger to all the truth that you say, even when you're getting in conflict with people. Like, you challenge people to not only think, but to state clearly what they're saying, and you call them on their contradictions. And I think that's needed in this space. And the reason why is the issue I called about, which is revolution. Here's the best way I can put about what I'm saying. There's a movie by Sergio Leone that's called Duck You Sucker. And what it's about is an Irish revolutionary who manipulates a Mexican peasant into fighting a revolution. So what happens is, when they get into the revolution, the revolutionary puts him in a position where all the Mexicans' children and his entire family, his extended family, his brothers, his cousins, and his 8 little kids all get massacred. They all get massacred. At the end of the massacre, the revolutionary comes to talk to him, and he says to him, and I'm telling you, when I heard this, man, it really penetrated to me. And I think it's something that people in revolutionary spaces really need to deal with. What he said was, he said, the people with the ideas and the books tell the people to go get the guns. And when the people get the guns, you know what happened? They die. That's your revolution. And what I'm saying is that in learning about, like, for example, when I was a little kid, I can remember, I'm from Washington, D.C. I can remember being like 6 years old, and some guys, from the Nation of Islam, talked to me and my brother, and they're going to some meeting and started telling us about stuff and was talking about revolution. I'm 60 years old now, and I've been hearing about revolution for 54 years of my life. Now I understand a revolutionary is not going to get online and say, here's my battle plans for discussion in a social media platform. That's not what I'm asking for. What I'm saying is that what it seems is lacking is a public display of a revolutionary organization, meaning that something that can be seen that will inspire people beyond just rhetoric. And I think, like I said, I'm ignorant, so I don't know anything. I'm just talking based on my observation and experience. I think in the revolutionary spaces, in attracting other people to be revolutionaries, or to have a revolutionary mindset, I just think that's needed in a world where we take many things through what we see. Like, yeah, we understand there has to be some underlying issues, some underlying principles and philosophies. We all understand that. But I think what people because people are motivated by what they see. I mean, people always say stuff like, everybody needs to be a leader. That's fine until you try to organize something. If you ever try to organize anything, you know how difficult it can be organizing something to have everybody try to lead at the same time. And I think there's a place for leaders.
I appreciate, Ron. If you allow me to interrupt you, Skip did say he had to have a hard stop, so we will. It is 9 o'clock.
I got a little bit more time. It's cool.
And I scheduled to stop at 9.
Come on, I know, but let's go. Come on.
I can't. I actually told him we'd be done because you told me you had a hard stop.
Oh, okay. Well, like if she waiting on you, then you gotta go.
Yeah, I told her we'd be done because you said you had a hard stop.
Okay.
Don't go, Skip. I like you.
But
I've been called a sucker tonight, and you just over here telling me that other folks telling me what I ain't. So y'all be real disrespectful to me, man. Y'all really think that this is the Bro Diallo show, and that's not what this is. You know what I'm saying? Radical got an S on it. You understand me? That means it's 2. I just want to be respected, man. I just want my respect.
Well, I'm not sure how you feel I disrespected you. Could you tell me how?
I'm messing with you, Ron. Relax.
I respect
And
you, Skip.
Duck You Sucker, like you really confused me because I was like, man, that was an A Fistful of Dynamite. Duck You Sucker and A Fistful of Dynamite are the same movie. I looked it up. So
The
yeah,
same movie.
I-
Yes, the same movie, but
yeah,
Duck You
I've
Sucker
seen-
is the
yeah.
better version.
Okay, so I ain't know
But
they were different
can I think it's something when we talk about, I've been hearing about revolution all my life and it hasn't happened. I think the problem is that I again where I think we misinterpret what revolution is and how revolution manifests and impacts our lives. And where Amos Wilson would also talk about progress in history and regression in history, we have this illusion that history exists in an ongoing continual progress, where we don't tend to highlight the regression and stagnation. We just look at the leaps forward. And especially that has a lot to do with Western culture and its accumulationist and aggressive advancement. But revolution has happened. It is happening. It does come in stages. It levels of intensity and levels of regression and stagnation. But all of us, it's not an African on this planet who is not the recipient or beneficiary of revolution. And it sometimes bothers me when Africans who are able to sit here and do things that our ancestors never dreamed of will sit and based on because of their sacrifices say, well, revolution hasn't come yet. At best, we can say we as an individual or as your community has not done our part to advance the revolution. But every single one of us is a recipient and beneficiary of revolutionary struggle at this time, in this day.
Like what you just said, I think is a valid criticism. But I think what I'm not saying there needs to be a revolution right now. What I am saying is, I think what is needed are like, for example, like I told you, I'm 60 years old. So at many times in my life, I've been up, like, for example, my life, let's say I had a business for 15 years. Now, the times that when I had that business, there would be times it would be so stressful because nobody really, I live in California, and let me tell you, nobody in California really wants to work for a black man doing hard labor work. Trust me when I tell you this. And I would come up against things that would be like racist so hard that I would go, okay, let me turn up my Pan-Africanist sensibilities or revolutionary sensibilities. And there was no place that I didn't know anybody. I didn't know like where things existed. There was no visible example. Like the YouTube space has at least provided a visible example of people engaging in quote unquote revolutionary discussion. That's a step. But what I'm saying, what I think is needed is what most people need is most people need kind of like something more tangible, more visible that you can kind of quantify, meaning when the Nation of Islam used to be out selling those bean pies, you could actively see those brothers out on the street trying to give you a final call, trying to sell you a bean pie, talking about revolution. And it made it much easier to go, okay, let me see what you're talking about. What it seems to me as somebody who has walked this line, is that people on the revolutionary side, the people who are the educators, the people who know the philosophies and the theories, they're basically saying, hey, we're waiting for you guys to do something so that we can do something the next step. And what I'm thinking is it needs to be, it's like we're all in this space, this social media space. Like, are there any examples of people in the world outside that you can actively, like I say, you say, I don't have any question about what you say you do. Trust me, I respect you to the highest regard, and I apologize for my own ignorance. However, what I'm saying is that it seems to me is that what's lacking is there are no concrete, visible examples that you can say, man, this revolutionary stuff sounds like something that is right up my alley. How do I get involved with it? Like where do I go? Who do I talk to? Like people will say organize, but if you've never organized anything, the chances of you organizing something, just decrease. And we can even tell that by the amount of organizations we don't have. So, I know I know I'm rambling and going all over the place, but like I said, this is not my inquiry is not about any sense of disrespect, because you and Skip, and I guess Skip in the LA area, because I'm in the LA area too. I don't know where he is, but hello, can you hear me? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm looking at my screen, but I'm talking on the phone. Sorry. I respect what you guys doing, and I try to do my, like, for example, I listen to your show all the time, and I contribute when I can. But when the challenge, I'm not challenging people about like what revolutionary. When am I going to see the revolution? It's like, no. When am I going to see an example of something that is easier for me to be a part of? And I'm giving an example. I had a moving business.
Ron.
Yeah.
What would you define as an example of revolution?
Okay. What I would say is this. I understand that you're not going to have a revolution. I understand that revolution is a process. People need to be educated. I understand all of that.
No. I mean, we're pressed for time, so I need a direct example.
Okay, sure.
You're claiming you're not
Okay.
seeing something.
Here's my point.
What specifically, if you saw it, would you recognize it?
What I'm saying is that I'm not educated enough to know about what a revolution should be. However, what I am educated enough to know is that when you do something that people can see, other people are more apt part of it. That I'm educated enough to know about.
Okay, but you said you're not seeing something, right?
Yes,
and
what
I'm
I'm saying
asking
is,
you, what is it that you're
okay.
looking to see that isn't present?
Okay, it could be a combination of things. It could be, let me just tell you, let me start. First of all, maybe just an organization itself in public, I don't know, I would say I need, let's say 20 or more people. That's an organization that's publicly engaged with the public, promoting what they believe in. And
that exists.
Yeah.
I could give you a list.
Yeah.
No,
So
I believe it exists. I believe it exists. I'm just saying, I live in Los Angeles, California, which is one of the largest
I can send you a
metropolitan
list
cities.
of individuals and organizations in LA. I was just in LA earlier this year.
Yeah.
I
Like,
get it.
And I went to the
What I'm saying is
Pan-African
that
Film Festival, and there were a number of organizations.
But Diallo, I've lived here for 30 years. I'm gonna get to you, Skip. I've lived here for 30 years. What I'm telling you is that I've just never seen it. I've never run into it.
And that's you run. Listen to me.
Yeah,
bro.
sure.
You live in a city of how many million people?
Yeah, of 30. It's like 30 million people, but
Okay,
I go everywhere.
Listen, hold on, Ron.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Ron.
Okay.
You live in a city of 30 million people.
Yes.
You say you 60. You go to work and you go home.
No,
you
you got to
see it if it's not in front of your house.
Let me tell you how. In my work, I travel all over to every area in the Los Angeles metropolitan area for over 15 years. I go to Beverly Hills, I go to the Hood, I go to Compton, Southside, Long Beach.
Ron,
I never. Yes.
Ron, you
yes,
haven't
I'm
given
listening,
us
sir.
an example of what it would look like. You're telling us
I
you're
just
not
told you.
seeing something,
But hold
on.
Diallo,
You
I gave you one example.
Okay.
Diallo, I did give you one example. The one example is I have never run into any organization, 20 people or more in public that are reaching out to people and giving them an opportunity to be educated by them and to be a part of what they're doing.
Ron,
I have never encountered it.
Okay. Listen for a moment. I had to mute you. Are you asserting that you say you haven't seen it? Are you asserting that because you haven't seen it, do you think it is because you aren't engaged in the correct spaces? Or do you think that because those such actions are not taking place?
Okay, am I back on?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Here's what I believe is that
No. I need you to answer, and then you can go into that. I need you to say, I haven't seen these things that I assert are revolution because of my lack of engagement or because no one's those actions aren't taking place? Because I haven't seen,
In LA?
I haven't seen women stripping and jumping up on the pole. And it's not because they're not women stripping and jumping up on the pole. It's just because I haven't attended a strip club in, trying to talk real loud so my wife can hear, because I haven't been to a strip club since my homie Sage got out of jail after a 17-year bid. Years ago. That's the last time I've been to a strip club, and I've had no desire or interest to go. So that just because I haven't seen sisters, getting up on the pole doesn't mean that they aren't getting up on the pole. Are you asserting from your belief, your understanding, your conclusion that you haven't seen it because of your lack of engagement, or you haven't seen it because it isn't happening?
I'm saying to you is not, let me speak, because I just listened to you. What I'm saying is, not only have I not seen it, but I understand it must be in lack, because revolutionaries are always talking about people not organizing. Like revolutionaries, the conversation. Hold on, Diallo, sir. You have a show. I'm calling into your show. Revolutionaries are always talking about they don't have enough people organizing. So if you don't have enough people organizing, and then somebody who's interested in being a revolutionary telling you he don't see revolutions, whose problem is it? Is it my problem, or is it your problem, or do we both have a problem?
We both have a problem.
That's exactly. And that's all I'm saying, brother. Listen, Giallo, trust me when I tell you, you are a relief to me online. When I'm listening to forums and people talking and everybody against you, your approach of just what you did with me, I appreciate it when I see you do it, because it's what I would do if I was as educated and as knowledgeable as you are. However, I'm not talking about you. You have my respect. I am talking about the revolutionary Black movement as we discuss in these spaces. What I'm saying is that I'm a guy who travels. I'm in one of the largest cities in Los Angeles. I'm a Black man. I go everywhere. There's not a place I don't go. I don't see it. I don't see people talking about it. I don't, it's literally could be, like I said, there's no examples that I'm seeing. What I'm saying is that I think the revolutionary movement, the presence, I'll give an example. Like there's organizations I've tried to be a part of, but I will tell you, I'm going to leave them nameless. They're so busy fighting each other that, it's like my time, I have a little time. I go to work at 5:30 in the morning, get home at 10, 12 at night. And if I got a day on Saturday to go do something, I don't want to be around people fighting about all the stuff that I'm trying to, get away from. So I'm not saying, I'm not coming in here like saying I'm holier than thou and do something for me. I'm not saying that. I listen to your show because you educate me. Every time I look at your show, I get educated. So I understand that you are contributing. That's not what I'm just saying. What I'm saying is that the movement as a whole to me seems like I'll give an example. Those Republicans are masters of getting all the white people, no matter where they get, to utter their talking points, repeat what they're saying, attack you with an argument. And I ain't never seen no Republicans either. I don't see them. I ain't seen no group of Republicans nowhere. But you know what? Everywhere I go, somebody having a conversation with me, want to talk about Black capitalism, or want to talk about, Black people responsible for their own position in where they are in the United States. Yes, sir.
And then
Sure.
I'll turn it over to Skip for the last word and to
problem.
give us an exit.
Yes, sir.
If you haven't seen it in Los Angeles,
Mhm.
and you understand the necessity for it, what is obstructing you from engaging in the activities and seeing, doing what you deem must be done, and making the call for others to come and
Diallo, I'll tell you what it is. I get up at 5:00 in the morning, okay, to keep a business going that I literally have to work 12 to 15 hours every day. Okay, because I have a business, not because I want to be a capitalist. I'm at odds with that. I don't want to work for somebody.
I've been in that same position. I've been in that same position where I was literally working 24 hours.
My point is,
then I can say,
here's
hold
some things
on,
I can do.
I'm going to put you on mute again. Then I will say, if you are too bogged down securing resources, why not sponsor and fund someone else to do the work if you don't have the ability and the time for you to do the work yourself?
Very simple, Diallo. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. See, my point is it's the same problem. It's like there isn't anyone that I have found to be able to give my money to in the
Have
Los
you
Angeles
searched?
area.
Have you searched?
Run.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Do you want them to be in LA or can they be in Mississippi? Because I can help you. And I'm not joking.
No, I'd rather them be, I could do Mississippi, but I prefer to do where I am.
Okay, boom. So you want to do it in LA? This what you're gonna do. Put an email in the chat and I will follow up with you. I'll check in with Diallo. We'll put together a list of folk that are doing work in LA that you can reach out to.
And we will vet them. So you don't even have to waste time. We will vet them
I tell you what,
on their track record, their sincerity, and everything.
Let's simplify it. Just give me one good person. Just give me one good person that has a group that you think somebody like me can go be a part of what they're doing. And I promise you, I will go do it.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow up with you and then we're going to get to that. Okay.
Have you heard of the Pan-African Film Festival?
Of course. I've had a film in it. Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah,
that's 20 people right there, Ron.
Well, no, the Pan-African
and you
Film
know
Festival
the affiliate,
is a film festival.
You know the no, it's not just a film festival. It is not just a film festival, right? It's an African marketplace. They have a spoken word presentation. They have speakers. There's a whole event and festival centered around the Pan-African Film Festival.
No, I understand that because I'm a filmmaker.
Organization. There's a myriad of organizations and organizers who are associated with the Pan-African Film Festival. I went.
Okay.
I went this year. Right?
I couldn't go. I was working. Yeah, I get it.
And I met organizers, a myriad of organizations, political organizations, social, anti-violence, and reconciliation groups. It's not just the filmmakers. And there were several themes.
Okay.
There was sisters doing work around sexual and domestic violence there. And there was a short documentary on a sister that was, remember the you weren't there, but the sister the martial arts champion that was attacked by a serial killer and beat the shit out of him and got out of his van.
Oh, no, I hadn't heard about that.
Well, I tell you, at the festival alone, I met and linked with some people in LA. I was in LA 3 days. And running into, it's filthy with organizers. And like he said, we'll get it. But I have to go and for
okay. I understand.
But I do appreciate you, bro.
All right, brother.
Don't forget to put your email in the chat.
I can't put my email. Don't let me put my email in chat. I'll just send one of you guys got like a Twitter or something like that. I'm
on all the socials.
All right, I get it. Do that. All right.
And then the next time the Rational Radical's on air, we're going to give people the list of the LA organizers and organizations.
All right, here we go. So we can get Diallo out of here. And me too. Thank you. Thank you for community. Thank you for patience. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for communication. Thank you for those things that you do and those things that you give us courage to do. We love you. We appreciate one another, and we will walk in your ways. Amen.
Ashe. Okay. Again, brother, thank you so much. Sorry about failing to send you the link, making you look late when you're on time and prompt.
No worries, bro. Life happens.
All right. Okay, until next time.
Hey, listen, man. I just want to make sure everybody know, you know what I'm saying? I'm on this show too. You know what I'm saying? Y'all all be calling on here talking about how great Diallo is. Diallo ain't nobody come here to see you, Diallo.
It's because people hate me. That's why.
It's Skip Coon and the Rational Radical.
And I'm sorry, Oak, we couldn't get back to you. We'll have you back on next time.
For sure,
we'll try to allot for more time for audience engagement. I appreciate y'all. Peace.